Hi, I'm Andrew, or Mr. Tall Shore, and this is a glimpse into the story of the music video Orange Blue, composed by Sergei Maingard. I'll dive into the inspiration behind the visuals and what it all means. If you haven't seen it yet, watch the full video here. When I first heard the melancholic tone of Orange Blue, I knew I wanted to create a visual story for it. There is something hopeful yet quite sad about the song, and that melancholy builds so nicely over the course of listening to it. But the first ideas I pitched to Sergei didn't quite hit the mark on what he wanted the music and video to represent. Like anything creative, the first ideas are almost never the right ones. Following Sergei's direction and collaboration, I went back to the drawing board and reworked the idea, the story and the visuals, and pitched a completely new approach. And we have something quite unique as a result of that collaboration. But even after I started working on the production, the visuals and story continued to evolve as I explored the themes further. I generally always have a basic idea of the beginning, middle and end of any story, but what I find quite magical is uncovering the detail and the nuances and how they are all threaded together as I work through the production. I often feel that I'm like the audience, who are also not sure what's coming next and are surprised at what they see. So what is Orange Blue all about? There is no main character that we follow. Instead, it's an open story meant to involve all of us. The narrative explores the impact digitalization has on our cognitive state and how our daily consumption of media erodes individual thought, replacing it with algorithmically controlled digital panoptimism. This is seen in the visual design or the glitching effect that progressively attacks our actors more and more over the course of the video, eating away at their thoughts and ideas until nothing is left. But even in that vacuum of thought, there is still a need for hope. Part 1. The streets. The opening shots are calm and inviting. We have golden warm colors, the sun is low, casting long shadows. It could be dusk, it could be dawn, but there is a sense of hope or justice emanating from the footage, in stark contrast to how the story develops. You'll soon notice that people's faces are obscured, either by shadow, the sun creating a silhouette, they being cropped out of frame or having their backs to camera. We also only focus on one individual at a time, even in the crowds. I did this because I wanted to create a feeling of isolation, contrasted against the business of the city streets. This is how I imagine people feel when they lock themselves into their phones, among the crowds, but very much alone. This is where I bring in the first instance of the digitalization or glitching effect. I wanted it to be subtle at first. We see glimpses of it affecting people using their phones. It could be the video artifacting or possibly a video compression issue. But the moment the first beat hits and that glitch effect impacts the guy and his surrounds, we realize that there is far more to this glitching than originally thought. This is the first escalation point. From what we thought was fairly typical footage of people doing normal things, there's a surprising shift in tone, visual styling, and also the tempo of the edit. Initially it seems positive. We see more of their faces, there's added color, and the static spreading over them is interesting, curious, and almost beautiful. But quickly we see there's an aggressive consumption occurring on each person as they are almost deleted from existence. Part 2. The glitching. At this point, the pace changes again. We break from the close-up studies of people getting glitched and cut to very wide shots of a city that is in a state of distortion and change. I felt this cut to the wide was important to give us time to process the potential horror of what we had just witnessed in the previous shots. It also gives the viewer time to see that the glitching has now spread out from affecting just the individual and is eroding and scarring the very world around us. The time-lapse shots here are also useful in pushing time forward to allow the glitching to be more pervasive, so that when we get back to street level, that glitching is everywhere and this is not seen as an unusual leap. One of my favorite sequences of the video is seeing the distraught guy with one hand over his face and him being surrounded by a crowd that has their hands on him, which leads to a shot of him being happy. I liked what the contrast of these visuals evoked, commenting on a need for digital validation. It can be positive but also wildly negative. The helping hand can just as easily put you down and hold you back as much as it can help you forward. This is followed by the second escalation point. I utilized a lot more camera movement in these shots to increase the intensity. It's a strongly emotive section of the video. We see laughter, anger, sadness, frustration, a feeling of helplessness, confusion, all stemming from this deluge of signals and digital inputs that we are assaulted by daily, and often too powerless to de-thread and make sense of, and we become swept away in the confusion of conflicting ideas. That last shot in this section illustrates this. It's a first-person view. An individual has their hands out in front of them almost defensively, probing a reality that has lost its solidity. Part 3, The Void. The music bridge is another opportunity to slow things down again, because this last part is quite visually arresting and builds on the horror. There is a clear cut from the real world to this blackened digital space, with a micro focus on the flood of textual-based interactions, showing the sheer volume of digital conversations occurring on our laptops and phones. And this leads to our final point of escalation. In this dark void, we are isolated, alone, unable to speak. Rationality is lost. The digital flood is not merely overwhelming us, it's pulling us apart. And there is nothing that can stop that decay, stripping away the human, rational thinking part of us, and we become beyond thinking, husks of our former selves. It's meant to be visceral. It's meant to make you take pause and reflect, not on what is right or wrong, just that we are aware of the dangers, that we need to protect individual thought and agency. But despite this feeling of despair, I wanted to leave the viewer with a sense of hope. We see and hear it in the last shot, the shedding of digital dependency, leaving a person almost whole again, leading to the calming of the mind and peace and spirit. I hope you've enjoyed watching my story analysis. Let me know what you think in the comments. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one.